Trying out a couple new things. Got a lapel mic here to see if that improves the sound quality at all. Oh, kind of like this better. It's my new angle in my room. These are a couple animation style art pieces by this guy I went to college with named Sam Wendell, who I don't know if he has a link or anything, but I'll put that in the comments description. This is some snobby architecture books I have. Architectural theory. I don't know any architectural theory. Anyway, hey guys. Today I wanted to do a sort of year in review of Tesla Model 3. I bought one back in March of last year, and I know I definitely had a ton of questions and stuff I didn't know. I did a lot of research, but again, there's only so much you can really do. I watched some videos like this one that I want to make where people had one for a little while, and just to kind of figure out what all the kinks were, what issues they had, charging, how all that stuff works. So I'll go into why I decided to buy one and just my experience with it this past year. So the primary reason that I started looking at getting an electric vehicle was just the environmental friendliness side of it. There's no exhaust, so no like CO2 and nitrous oxide and carbon monoxide and all that stuff. Obviously, like if you charge at a charging station where that station relies on like the local power grid, then that can be, it'll just rely on coal like most electricity does. But if you have, like, say you have one of the chargers at home, like in your garage, and your house is powered by like solar panels or some other sustainable energy, then that's even better. Another kind of driving factor was just wanting to be a part of the entrepreneurial experience of Elon Musk. Like I've always been a fan of people like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk who come up with these industry-altering ideas just by kind of combining simple concepts or like applying concepts in ways that people haven't tried yet. That's always caught my interest a lot and inspires me a lot, and I wanted to kind of be a part of that. Looking more long-term, so Tesla has the self-driving taxi fleet idea in the works, and that is kind of appealing to me. That idea of like sharing your car, because I do need a car to go places, restaurants, stores, or whatever, go visit my parents. Like there's stuff that I have to do that I can't do if I don't have a car. But just still, like there's the statistic of our cars spend 90 and 95% of the time just sitting there, like we don't use them. So it kind of makes sense in my head to eventually like that I would share this car with someone, or have it contribute to that taxi fleet. Either way, Tesla seems to be the first car company that's kind of moving in that direction, or at least that's in their plans for the future. As with all car manufacturing and most manufacturing of anything, a lot of like the attaining the resources and the manufacturing, the processing, and all the energy that goes into that, all that embedded energy, obviously goes against sort of my values as far as combating climate change and stuff like that. Especially like the lithium-ion batteries and like the cobalt and the zinc and the other rare earth metals that Tesla needs. It's obviously like buying a new car is not a environmentally friendly thing to do ever. With that said, Tesla as a company right now with Elon Musk at its head, their goal is the transition to sustainable energy and sustainable transport. I think I was just shaking the screen a lot. If I'm going to get an electric car, Tesla, getting it from a company whose sort of primary goal is electric cars, I think is vastly preferable to getting one from like a legacy car company that happens to also make electric cars. Tesla releases a sustainability report every year, along with like whatever their annual numbers report is. And I've read through it for the past few years, and it's helped assure me that like even the processes and the methods that they do right now that aren't sustainable, that are negatively impacting the climate, they intend to fix that. And like with the rate of innovation that Tesla experiences, I mean, like year after year, top engineering students, like the places that they want to work at most are Tesla and SpaceX. So with the rate of innovation that's coming to that company, it just makes sense that, you know, they're gonna quickly figure out how to cancel out the things that they're doing right now that go against their values. So I did as much research as I could into like battery range and battery life and price and all sorts of other specs. And so I would say range was the primary factor that I looked at, and Tesla consistently has much farther range than any other electric car of that price range. Another big thing is the battery life of the car battery. Again, Tesla pretty consistently is better in this capacity. Like, car batteries are expensive, like several thousands of dollars. And from having checked out, like, onto another couple companies and like asked about their electric cars, typically you have to replace those batteries like, I don't know, every 5 to 10 years ish, as opposed to with Tesla, the batteries last longer than you would normally own a car, like 20 to 30 years, which is pretty great. Some other electric cars that I looked at were the Nissan Leaf, BMW i3, the Hyundai Ioniq, and the Chevy Volt EV or Bolt EV, and just the electric Prius. But again, as far as like anything near the price range of a Tesla, those specs of like the range and the battery life were far better, and the other options were probably close to where Tesla was, but just way more expensive. And getting into the finance side of stuff, I don't know if this might be how most cars, like if you're financing a car, how this works, but I knew this wasn't going to be a financially convenient option for me. There was stuff I was going to have to sacrifice if I wanted to do this. But the way I see it, people only going with the financially convenient option is kind of how we got to where we are right now as far as climate change and the current crises that are going on. If there were other options that I could have done, like biking or busing or carpooling and stuff like that I could consistently do, as opposed to just getting a new car, I would have done it. And obviously, like, this is not something that everyone can afford to do. I've been pretty blessed my whole life, so I have this opportunity that I can make a decision like this, and try to do what I can to kind of help that transition into sustainable energy. But it's not something that everyone can do, so that's okay. And the cheapest option as far as getting a Tesla is right now a Model 3 that is like the pearl white color, because that's kind of like the base paint that they use, without like the full autopilot, without any, you know, other packages or anything like that. So this being the largest financial decision I've ever made, I kind of wanted to figure out what that baseline was and just go with that. But anyway, as far as financing, you can choose to go with like pretty low monthly payments. So like obviously it'll be over a longer period of time, which I wanted to do because you can pay it off early. Like you can make bigger payments than you need to, or pay more often. And this way, if I had a period of time where I was low on the money that I could spare, then I could just go back to the smaller payments as opposed to like the large payments that I'm trying to do to pay it off early. Oh, another tip that actually contributed a lot to the timing of when I got this car was the Tesla inventory list. So they will have cars that they use just like in their testing phases that will have a couple thousand miles on them, but you'll get a good discount on like a couple $1,000s, which I have a friend who was working at a Tesla store who was able to like kind of watch that list for me and see if something came up, like if a white Model 3 came up that had that discount. So that's another good way to save some money. There's also, I mean, depending what state you live in, there's, you know, tax benefits and stuff like that. The gas savings, like again, the electricity is much cheaper than gas. There's lots of reports and videos out there of like small kind of manufacturing defects, stuff that, like little things that like detailing that needs fixed, or like patches where there should be paint but there aren't. There should be paint but there isn't. But you know, nothing serious. Like there's, you know, you'll see in the news like if a car was in the self-driving mode and there was someone riding it, but you know, it caused an accident. Most of the time that comes out to be like the self-driving part was not being used correctly and stuff like that. So the only thing that I have had happen so far is that the back door, there's a rubber seal where the door closes, so it seals with the rest of the car. That part was like coming off like pretty much a couple months after I got the car. So I put in like a appointment for someone to come out and fix it, and a Tesla person came out and fixed it for free. So that was nice, but yeah, just to be kind of pretty transparent with, like, the car was not perfect. And I have seen a couple little like of those paint spots where there should be paint, but there's not. I've never been a big car guy, so it doesn't bother me a lot. As far as maintenance goes, I've had a few tire rotations where the person can also come out and do that. Like so when I was at work and the person just showed up in our parking lot and rotated the tires, I went out and checked it out, talked to him, and you know, got the invoice, and it was as simple as that. Mostly all the maintenance is just like tire rotation and then wiper fluid. Like because the car just runs on a battery, doesn't have like thousands of moving parts that need oiled and maintained and everything, it's just a lot easier. So the big thing, charging. In my experience, the range is much better in the summer. Like during the cold parts of winter, that was when the battery would die the quickest. So in the winter, you want to make sure you're charging often and keeping like a decent amount of battery, that way you don't get stranded. The healthiest way to charge the car is to get a charger for your home and then charge it overnight. It's like a slower method of charging than using the superchargers, which, like where I live right now, the garage I can't really access super easily, and so getting a home charger is not something I've looked into yet. So I primarily rely on the superchargers, which are way faster and I think cheaper. And just as a reference point, charging at a supercharger costs about half per mile as like an average gas prices. But again, the healthiest thing is to like charge overnight, or just charge it slowly to, you know, 80% or whatever. Like that's if you're using your car every day to go to work. A couple of things that surprised me a bit, which I probably would have found if I just done more research, but it does not, the Model 3 base model does not come with a spare tire. You can buy a tire repair kit, which is kind of like selling a problem and then selling the solution, but it is what it is. I bought the repair kit, so I keep that in my car where you can like patch it and, you know, fix your tire as opposed to having to put a new one on. And it does not come with the floor mats, like the weather mats, so I had to buy those as well. Those are just a couple things that I didn't foresee, and so, you know, it cost me a little more money. And it's an expensive car, so, you know, that's a drawback in itself. I would say the pros of this car have greatly outweighed the drawbacks. I'm pretty neutral as far as like being a car person or enjoying driving. Like I'm not one for long road trips. I tend to like to walk or bike if I can to go places. This car has made me enjoy driving. Like it's very smooth and the handling is great, and it's just a joy to drive every time. The simple design, like inside and out, and obviously the acceleration, like that instant torque, is a big wow factor. Most of the times I drive it, anytime someone rides with me who hasn't been in a Tesla before, a big wow factor, creates some fun times. People will try to race you, which is kind of funny. I mean, if you're into that, go for it. I don't race, so I just, you know, kind of like, no, I don't want to race, you know. And, you know, you get a lot of looks on the street. I've gotten like random people to just come up and say like, wow, that's a nice car. Like, my favorite is sometimes on my way to work, I drive by a middle school, and sometimes if the kids are out at recess, like if I go drive to lunch somewhere and the kids are out like in the parking lot during recess, they'll like run to the fence screaming like, Tesla, Tesla. And you know, that's cool, it's fun. Another fun thing is other Tesla drivers, I've noticed a lot of other Tesla drivers will like wave at you if they see you, like if they're driving the other way, which is kind of fun. But yeah, overall I'd say, I don't know, 9.5 out of 10. The screen in the car, I got used to it really quick. You wouldn't think that it'd be super easy to go from like all the, you know, the speedometer and all the controls, all those things being physical buttons, like down to like the wipers and like the gear shift and all that. But I got used to it pretty quick. I've always, you know, driven automatic transmission, so maybe it's a little easier for me than if you drive stick, but it's been pretty seamless. And when it comes to safety, the Tesla 3 and I think the Tesla Model X, I think, are the safest cars in history. Like whatever the rating is that, you know, that most cars are measured against, they were like 1 and 2 as far as like safest cars. Like anyone, I'm not a perfect driver, and there have been a couple times where the sensors around the cars or like the camera has saved me from, like, if I forget to check my blind spot, like I probably would have bumped another car, but it has on the screen it'll show like how far away you are from cars around you, like if you're parking, and it has sound, like little beeps if you're getting pretty close, that you can turn those off, but it has helped me out greatly. So thanks for watching. If you have more questions, let me know. I'm happy to kind of give more information to anyone looking for it. I certainly was like starving for information when I was kind of looking into getting this car. Sharing information is good. It's what got humans to the top of the food chain, pretty much. So I did as must reachers. Oh my goodness. I'm not a big race car. Maybe the real reason I used the mic was to hide my birthmark. So, joke's on you.